Hey everybody, it's Mike Gomoll. Welcome to the Joey Song Podcast. My guest today is the truly delightful Susie Vilcek. Susie is a cinematographer, filmographer. I don't know what the title is, but Susie makes videos and movies and music videos. And she is one of the handful of folks that are behind the scenes here at Joey Song. One of the things and feedback from folks is you wanted to see more of what kind of goes on behind the scenes here besides talking to the artist. And Susie is one of those folks. She has produced, directed, created Silversun pickups videos since, I think, Lazy Eye? I don't remember. We talk a little bit about it here in the podcast. I think it was even before that. So she's been involved. She did all four from their most current Tenterhooks release. We talk a little bit about her relationship with the glorious Matt Pinfield from MTV, Brian Aubert in the process of putting together videos. So, interesting conversation. As I said, Susie is truly delightful. I hope you enjoy the conversation. I mean, she laughs at everything I say, so how can she not be truly delightful? Anyway, stick around for the Joey Song Podcast with Susie Vilcek. Welcome to the official podcast of Joey Song. You know, at Joey Song, we have one mission: raise as much money as we can so that research into finding treatments and cures for epilepsy can get the funding it needs. We would love your support. If you can subscribe and leave a review of this podcast, it will help more than you could ever know. If you have a couple extra mouse clicks left in you, go to YouTube and our YouTube channel, Joey Song, and subscribe. There, in less than 2 minutes with a couple of mouse clicks, you will have made it easier for others to find us and help spread the word. Now, if you want to do a bit more, head over to joeysong.org, consider buying a show ticket or some merch, or even making a donation. Thanks. You know, we'll beat this disease, and together we'll have some fun doing it as well. Join us. All right, let's do this. Hey, everybody, we are back. And as I promised you, we're going to do more of the inside baseball here on the Joey Song Podcast. While I get all the flowers and the glory for it, I got to be honest with you guys, there's a ton of people behind the scenes that put a lot of time, effort, and skills that I don't have into doing this. And these are highly trained professionals. And Susie Vilcek is with me today, and she is one of those folks behind the scenes that has helped us do some of the interviews. We'll talk about that. But before we get into that, and I will welcome Susie, don't worry, I'll give her a chance to talk. We're going to talk about what she does with her in her day job, which you guys are going to like to hear about. So Susie, welcome to the Joey Song Podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. You know that I'm a part of the cult of Joey Song.
You are
now.
a part of the cult. You are a part of the cult. I hope those packets of Kool-Aid showed up at your front desk like we did.
Absolutely.
So for you folks, this was Susie's first year as being a part of this. And this is how cool this is. I'm going to tell this. I like telling cool stories. So as you guys well know, Butch Vig is a part of our stuff, as well as Brian Aubert and Nikki Moninger from Silversun Pickups. And I was talking to either Butch or Brian, one of the two, last fall. And they said, hey, we got somebody that you got to bring to Joey Song. And I said, oh, and they said Susie's name and her partner Annika's name in her business. I said, oh, what do they do? And she goes, well, they just got done shooting all the Silversun Pickups videos. And I went, oh, yes, of course, please. So Susie, talk a little bit about your day job and the kind of stuff that you do as part of that.
I would never call directing music videos a day job, but it's kind of like a labor of love that I can't quit. And Silversun just always, I have this awesome relationship with them, and it weirdly keeps getting better and better. And I just never say no to them. I have had many day jobs, editing, writing, but the video stuff, as a kid, I'm sure you also grew up with MTV, and I thought that was like a real career path. Direct music videos. and worked in different ways in video. And then I just, when I moved to Los Angeles, I was like 26 and I met a band and I said, hey, can I make a video for you? They were called Early Mart. And that was the
I'm
first.
familiar with Early Mart.
Do you know Early Mart? Yeah,
I
they're
do.
awesome. They're
Yes.
Yeah, so that's actually how I met Silversun, Ariana, the bass player from Early Mart and singer. She actually went to London with Brian and Nikki when they were in college. So they were all tight. And so I just like kind of fell into the Silver Lake music world delightfully at the right time.
Yeah.
And I just made friends and said, hey, do you guys need videos? And then eventually, a couple of bands got signed, including Silversun, and they had really tiny budgets. And it's weirdly super gratifying at this point, like 25 years later. It's just like
crazy.
still going. And it's led to you and Butch and, and David Michaels. It's just been really lovely and surprising. So,
Well, it's funny because so much of Joey's song growth has been through friends bringing in friends. And when you start with a cool bass like somebody like Butch, who is the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet, right? Just a kid from Viroqua, Wisconsin, who happens to be an expert at twiddling knobs. Good people follow, right? Because he brought in Brian and Nikki, and then, they begat you and so on. And, it's this community that you're now a part of, and you get to know all these people. And there are folks that, for you and I, oh my God, that's the Bangles, that's the Go-Go's, that's Goo Goo Dolls, and you find out that they're
Kurt
all
Smith
just
blew
cool.
my mind this year.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. I gotta do this.
Wild.
So I did not know Kurt before this year. Obviously I knew of him. I was a DJ back in the 80s. So I played plenty of Tears for Fears. And and Kurt was so sweet and so nice. And his daughter Diva was wonderful.
Oh,
and I was
amazing.
I was following up with him on something. I don't remember what, after the show. And I found I was trying to get what handles he wanted us to use to tag him. And I went to his social media and it said Manchester United Lover on there, which is a soccer team, which is also my soccer team that I support. He and I are now texting 3 times a week about, I'm texting, Kurt Smith and I are soccer buddies. How cool is that?
God. It's the coolest. You got to pinch yourself. I know. I mean, I feel the same way about Matt Pinfield. I'm like, now we are messaging each other and I like really just can't believe it. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but and so now I'll slather some praise on, because you're a good person and good people begat good people. And Matt, I had not known Matt before this year, and I think I've told this story before on the podcast. So those folks that have been listening, Matt and I, as we were leading up to the concert last year, he'd call with what was supposed to be a quick question. And about an hour and a half later, we were arguing over whether 1966 or 1967 was the greatest year in music. I mean, he is such a savant, but he's also such a sincere dude. Just
Absolutely.
a sincere dude.
I know. For me, it was like watching him on 120 Minutes and being introduced to everything in the most non-cynical way. He loves everything. He is so excited, his genuine curiosity. He's just the best. And to meet him and know him and see that he is the real deal, and also that he survived, some really scary health stuff, and he's still a savant. He's still, just firing on all pistons. And I think he might even be like superhero level. Something extra happened when he was in a coma. I don't know what's going on with his brain, but he's amazing.
Well, and you said a really interesting thing in there. It's sincere too. It's not an act. It's not like, when the lights go on, he becomes Matt Pinfield, VJ. And when they're off, he's Matt Pinfield, hated guy. He's that way all the time. That is who he is.
Yep. And everyone is so excited to see him.
Yep.
And talk to him. It was like the easiest thing in the world for me at Joey's song to say, hey, will you come sit down with Matt Pinfield? If it was just me grabbing people for interviews, I may have gotten like 5 people, but it was just like, getting all those
Lot.
guys and
Yep.
girls to sit down with, Matt, and, most of them know him. And the
Right.
best, though, was that he had never met Jane Weedland.
Oh.
And so it was kind of a funny moment to see these two, to me, like MTV icons that
Right.
weirdly had missed each other in their,
Right.
Gen X fever
Yeah.
dreams that we were all in. So that was awesome. I loved
Yeah.
seeing that happen, in
Right.
real time. And also just like talking to Gina Shock, and
Yeah.
just everybody was and Tracy Bonham, like she was
Right.
practicing, and I was like, oh my God, I used to like play this album to death. And
Right.
yeah, it was just a
Right.
total dream come true. It was
Yeah.
like summer camp
Yeah.
for music nerds.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, good people beget good people. So I have a question for you, because now I know that you do a lot of the SSPU stuff. And what's the process of figuring out what you're going to do? I assume you sit down with
Mm.
Brian and Nikki and and Christopher and, and Joe and talk it through, or how, and I realize there's not a
Yeah.
one size fits all, but talk through that process,
Yeah.
please.
Well, the nice thing with Brian is that he has always just been like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I know how, unusual that is. And we have this really wonderful shorthand now where he'll say, well, what, I'm like, do you have any ideas? And he'll say, well, I did have this one thought, he, he was
Yeah.
teasing me and saying, I will say an idea just so that you can say, that's great, but I don't want to do that. I want to do my idea. And he's not wrong, but it's only because I know Brian so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Brian is like a total cinephile. And so, I
Mm,
really appreciate his love for filmmaking. He just trusts me. So he
yeah.
really, really, truly lets me do whatever. And so I've been really lucky in that. And yeah, also their music is awesome. So it's very
Right.
easy for me to have ideas with good music.
Right.
So yeah, I will just like play it in my car and think about stuff. And then usually I write a little treatment. I pull some visuals. I say, hey, let's see, for like Lazy Eye, I'm like, I want to do this, preteen kind of like
Right.
angst, bittersweet love story. Let's put
Right.
35 preteens in a bar. And, he's like, sounds good. And honestly, it's always been like that with him. He's never pushed back. One time he's like, have you ever wanted to do a dance video? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then I made a super weird dance video for Doesn't Matter Why.
Yep.
And it's funny, it's like now it's all part of our history. And like I can look at those videos and sort of remember what was happening in my life. And, I did a
Oh,
video
yeah.
with Nikki for a song of theirs called Circadian Rhythm. And it was the first video I had directed as a mom. And so my almost 2-year-old was on set. And, I have
Huh.
pictures of that.
Yep.
And it's just like, it really is a family affair. And I just, I'm really lucky that they still make music and they still ask
Yeah.
me. And, they've made lots of videos with lots of other people. This last album, they were like, do you want to do all the videos for this album?
Yeah.
Which of course I was like, a little
Yes,
bit
please.
overwhelmed, but then I was like, yeah, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was just
That's
super
good.
fun and ambitious. And then I met Annika, who I had not worked with before. And so she really
Oh,
helped me
I didn't
get a
realize
great
that. Okay.
crew.
Yeah.
I know. Isn't that amazing? And we just like, for me, it's like, you learn your whole career about people.
Yep.
And who brings out the best in you and who
Yep.
you kind of are maybe from the same planet as. Like,
Yep.
at
Absolutely.
first I was like, wow, Annika's kind of a hard ass. I was like a little bit like,
Yep.
geez. And then I was like, she's protecting me in the
Yep.
best possible way and getting
Yep.
the best for me. And I don't know, like for me, meeting someone like that is life-changing because then I'm just
Yep.
like, I just want to make more and more and more. You feel supported. And it was just, and then like we shot one of the videos in Butch's house. So it
Yep.
just was like, then we met, so then Annika met Butch and they were like, do you want to come to Wisconsin in January? And we
Which,
were kind of like,
if that
yeah.
isn't a great closing line, I don't know what is for somebody that lives in LA.
I mean, we were kind of like, we had just done these videos and we were like really like drunk off of the fun of, doing
Yeah.
these. And so we were like, yeah, that sounds amazing. So it,
Well,
it
yeah.
all led to great stuff. And so now, so I feel like now I'm
Yeah.
working with Annika and it just makes me want to do more and more and more. And I've got
Yeah.
this new sort of confidence because of it, like going to
Yeah.
Wisconsin and feeling very just like I belonged there. It doesn't always feel
Yep.
that way. Sometimes
No,
you're like,
well,
wow, right? Like sometimes you just
yeah, I
have those experiences where you're like, this is too hard. This shouldn't be this hard. Something
yep,
doesn't feel like I don't feel seen or heard or, and
yeah.
it
Well,
just was
you'll
like all the
you'll
pieces.
notice we are very totalitarian at Joey Song. You must do it this way, and if you don't shoot the
Exactly.
baby, want you to? Yeah. No, that's
That's
like
right.
I learned not to turn this into a TED talk on Mike Gomoll's management style, but I learned a long time ago that you bring in people with skills, and if you start to tell them how to do what they're skilled at, you
Mm,
are wasting their time and their talent. And if I was a
yeah.
filmmaker, I'd be a filmmaker, and I'm not. So, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's like Brian has a really lovely sort of feeling about making music and then handing it off. Like he doesn't really want to
yep,
be involved with the visual. Like to me, it's
yep,
like poetry. It's like the song is poetry, and then I make my visual poetry, and
yep,
some people get it and some people don't. And that's what I love
right.
about music videos. It's not a movie. It's very like I just like now I'm watching all these old music videos with my son who's 11, and it's been so
Oh God.
fun to watch
Yep.
him watch this stuff and know what I do and just sort of like the freedom in music video to me. Like, again, I'm lucky that I have worked with people who have let me kind of go a little rogue and not micromanage me. But it does. You're right. It brings out the best in people when you trust them
Yeah.
and, know that they're doing their thing after you've done your thing,
Yeah. Well, and
So
I
hopefully
think the
people
brilliant
connect with
part,
it.
yeah, I think the thing about music videos in particular is obviously depending on your artist that you work with, but Silversun, as the example in all this, is not a Moon Spoon June kind of band, right? They're not. That's not. You could. We can all. If you have 10 people listening to one of Brian's songs, you'll get 13 different ideas of what it's about, right? And
Absolutely. Yeah.
that. I mean, if if you were making the video for "I Will Always Love You," there's only a couple ways to go on that one, right? But if you're
Right.
doing Panic Switch or Lazy Eye or, any of these songs,
Yep.
you can go anywhere you want to with it, and that's
Yeah.
and
Totally.
there's no right or there's no wrong, and if, again, you and I are of a certain age, you're much younger than I am, but we're of a certain age, right, where, the MTV videos, the performance videos were the last ones you wanted to watch, right? And REM
I
very
know, and it's
historically was like, "No, no, no, we don't do performance
yeah.
videos."
Yep.
And and that as a filmmaker has to be so rewarding for you, again, to work
Oh
with
my
somebody like
god.
SSPU and be given that
Yeah.
leeway to go, "What, you want us eating cheese? Let's go for it,"
Yeah.
right?
Oh, that's a real dream. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I have been contacted to do videos, and, like, to me, when I hear there has to be performance, I
yeah,
definitely a little part of me
right,
dies inside because I don't love
right,
doing that. I have done
yeah, yeah,
performance, and I just try to I don't know, it's funny, we live in this time of, like, IP and nothing can be original and
yep.
everything has to be,
A
just cookie
derivative of
cutter.
something else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's funny because, like, I don't know anybody who likes that. I really feel like the deepest people are looking for original and things that
absolutely.
kinda go, "Wow, I didn't expect that." Like you said, if I
Right,
did a video for "I Will Always Love You," I would be thinking, "What is the last thing people expect to see?"
right,
Like, I
right,
really
right.
don't ever wanna do predictable, and even if I did like the last video I did with Nikki, I was like, "What if she played every instrument?" And the rest of the
Hey, there you
bands
go. There you go.
and so we did it, and then we dressed her in 4 different outfits, and,
Yeah,
it just was like and also it was kind of a throwback to '80s, kind of like, let's do, like, a really kind of, like, cheesy performance. Cheeky, cheesy, but,
yeah,
like that '80s style, and yeah, I don't know, I do feel really satisfied when I get to do a narrative or
yeah,
something that's,
yeah,
more of like I said, like a poem that doesn't need to be understood by everyone. And it's,
Yeah, and
it's
there's
funny.
no
It's good for me to be okay with people not getting it. Like sometimes
yep.
I'm like, Mom, did you see my video? And she's like, I saw it. I didn't get it, but I
You
saw
know
it.
what the hell you're doing. Yep. Yep. Exactly.
And I'm kind of like,
Exactly.
okay. Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
like, well, and then other people are like, wow, like, they really get it. And Brian really
Yeah.
got it. And I think that like to me, to the person who wrote the song and obviously has his own thoughts
Right.
about why he wrote it and when he performs it, what he's feeling, to take it in a different direction and have him like it is super gratifying.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that about the writer of the song knowing where you were going with it. I am not an artist. I'm not a singer. I'm barely passable in public in general. But I will tell you that knowing and being around musicians all my life, there's a lot of musicians that they don't know what their songs are about. And they will tell you that. And they will say that it's
Yeah.
years and years later where they finally figure out what it's about. And that is,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, talk about a mind, what. For me, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And
I
that's the
know.
beauty of it. And you get back to that MTV video stuff of, you don't want to tell
Yeah.
them, well, it's really about grocery shopping or whatever,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That it's
Exactly. I know.
whatever
Well,
it might
also,
be.
people Yep, people attach all kinds of stuff to the videos they've made, like Lazy Eye. They,
Yeah.
the young woman that I cast was like this really dynamic, charismatic young woman, and she had a short haircut, and people were like, "Oh my god, she's so androgynous." Like
Yeah.
they thought it was a big statement, like
Yeah.
gender, or I don't even know.
Yeah.
It was so weird to me, the
Yeah.
reaction. And people to
Yeah.
this day still will find me and email me and ask me who she is. Like, it's
Yeah,
just like,
really.
it's also a little creepy. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you who
Yeah.
she is. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, like people really read into stuff and it's fine. It's like I
Yeah.
was watching the Paul McCartney documentary last night and they were playing some song and I was like, "Oh my god, that's what that's about?" And it just like
Yeah.
I love that too. Like just
Yeah.
being like having my own
Absolutely.
relationship with a song and usually it's a time machine too, right? Like, you hear a
Oh,
song in the grocery store
100%.
and you're 14 years old again and you're like, "Oh my god, I was at the 8th grade dance and I cried." And,
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
all comes back to you. And videos
Yeah.
are like that for me still. Like, I remember waiting for, like, Love Is a Battlefield to come on
Yeah.
so I could do
Yep.
the dance with the TV.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, we all get that out of art, and Brian is really gracious, Nikki, Joe, Chris, like, they're all just really lovely and
Yeah.
trusting friends. So,
Groovy. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little
okay.
bit about the stuff that Susie did at this past Joey song with Matt. We'll tell you a couple of fun stories behind that. So stick around. We'll be right back. You're a natural. One. We are back, and I'm really happy to say that in between this, Susie just did a short little performance video of me playing Gordon Lightfoot's Sundown on an acoustic guitar. It went really well.
Yeah.
I mean, just me and like a
I'll never do it
spotlight.
again.
It was glorious, just glorious. And I'm predicting big things for that. No. All right.
I'm so glad you were so inspired.
Well, I did. When we talked about how horrible performance videos were, I'm like, well, then that's what we have to do. We have to go right against the grain, right against
Oh
the
my
grain.
god.
So, for those of you, and we haven't really, as we're recording this, we haven't really pushed anything out from it yet. But Susie and Annika worked with our pal Matt Pinfield and set up kind of in a really cool location right off of the stage in the loading dock. It had a very kind of industrial feel to it, which is because we didn't plan it out and I just told them to do whatever the hell they could do. So it's really on me. It was my creative genius that created that cool set. That's what it was.
It actually worked out better than anything because everyone was right there.
Yeah, it actually turned out great. But so the most beloved man in music, Matt Pinfield, set up a couple of road cases and some spotlights and really talked with people. Now, I didn't get a chance to do it other than I did a quick segment with Matt. Susie, talk a little bit about that, because as you kind of alluded to earlier, most of the people are busy doing their stuff, but when you start the phrase, "Hey, Matt wants to talk to you," it gets a little bit easier.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially people like Matt Sorum and, like, not to say I was intimidated, but there were certain people that were harder to
Yep.
approach and like interrupt. Like Matt Sorum and Gina Schock were having this like very deep conversation, and I was like, oh God, like I really, really need him to sit with Matt. And I'm like, how do I interrupt? So yeah, like those moments were, harder. But when you say Matt really wants to, have time with you, people prioritize, and everyone was so excited. And also like, all these people have relationships with him. Like I said, except for Jane Weedland, every single person was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like he really, truly, all I do is interrupt and say, hey guys, I know you're going to talk forever, but like, we got to do this, and it was like just keeping them sort of on target with, being able to actually have usable audio, because while yes, it was awesome we could collect all those people for interviews, it was also not ideal for sound because everyone was rehearsing behind us. So every time they would start talking, it would be like, someone would do a crazy drum crash. It was exactly. So it was sort of funny. And we brought Cody, our DP, and he had the earbuds in, and I'm like, can you hear it? And he'd kind of make a face like it's as good as it's going to get, And so, we were just really being scrappy, and, like I just really felt like a kid in a candy store. And and like we said before with Matt, he's just also that way, even though he's been doing this for decades. He is just as excited as he's ever been, and he'll tell you the best stories about, having dinner with David Bowie and picking out his track list, just like he has insane stories. And so I do want to sit there and just listen to him. And then I have to remember, oh, wait, I'm directing. I have to like, keep this train on the tracks. And so Annika was amazing with that. And it started, actually, I will give credit to Brian Aubert because he really wanted Matt to do like a 120-minute style intro for the Long Gone video. And it was funny because I kind of thought, well, gee, aren't you special? You're going to ask Matt Pinfield to do a Like, I just thought like, wow, that's really far-fetched, and like, sure, whatever. And so, Brant at Q Prime reached out and he said yes. And I was like, shit, this is going to happen. I really did not expect that to be so easy. So when we shot the Long Gone video, Matt came and we did like a hour-long interview with Silversun. And then the next day we shot a video at Butch's house, because that's how we shot these 3 videos just back to back. And Butch said, how is Matt? How's he doing? And I'm like, he's fucking amazing. This guy is just like,
he is.
He's great, And so he said to me, Butch said, do you think he's, well enough to MC Joey's song? And I was like, hell yes. So that's kind of how that started, so it was like this sort of like chain of events that, like I said, I was like, is this really going to happen? And not only did that happen, things like just kept getting better and better. And so then he came to Wisconsin, and we were like, what can we do? And we had a whole setup in the hotel where everyone was staying, where we're like, oh, the lighting is great and it's quiet and people can sit on this couch and talk to Matt. And then I said to Annika and Cody, I was like, we're not going to see anyone over here. Do you know how hard it's going to be to get these people to leave the venue?
Green room. And
so then we were like, okay, let's go over to the Sylvie. And then we found that like Jack Daniels room, and we were like, oh my God, this is perfect. It's right here. It was like 1 floor up. And I'm like, I still don't think people are going to leave
You're
the
right.
backstage area. Like it really would have just been like pulling teeth to get people to just go up the stairs and, So then, so that's how that kind of happened. And, David Michaels already had all their lights set up for the, stuff they were shooting. So again,
Charlie,
everyone was so helpful. David was helpful. Eric Foster, his DP, super helpful, and so, and like we had a very small kit with us. And so Cody was, like, hey, can we use this? And they were all just helping each other. It was lovely. So that really worked out. And yes, like everybody, he knows everybody. Everybody has great stories. And I just feel again like it was magical, and I feel like it's still going because Matt and I still talk. So,
it is.
We're probably going to do some stuff, more stuff, Joey songs.
It's amazing. and I don't mean to turn this into a Matt Pinfield tribute, but what the hell, he deserves it.
That's okay with me.
The thing about that I found in the hours that Matt and I have been on the phone talking, and we've talked about this already, it's sincere, but it's all, so I'll give you the example. He and I were talking about Tears for Fears, right? And
oh yeah,
and I was saying, yeah, we got Kurt, and of course Matt knew Kurt, but he also said, I bought that 45 from the first record, and I think I still have, and the second question he asked me is, where are the cool record stores in Madison? Because as we talked about,
he went.
That's him, and
yep.
I'm pretty good at knowing nonsense, as most people that know me will tell you. He laps me. He knows the minutia, and he'll tell you who played keyboards on the third REO Speedwagon album, and he'll tell you the name of the whoever it is, engineer on the Beatles' third record, and be
also
right.
Not annoying, but it's also not annoying. Like,
no,
you know what I mean? Like that could be really douchey and insufferable if someone was doing that all the time. And he is a fucking delight.
So, right.
I mean,
he just drips sincerity. He just drips sincerity.
Yeah. And you really just do feel like it's just, he also listens to you.
Yes.
He wants to know your experience, which is, not always the case with people. I wore my Sinead O'Connor thrift store shirt to one of the video shoots, and he said, oh yeah, I went bowling with her in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I'm like picturing Sinead O'Connor and Matt Pinfield bowling, and I'm like I said, it's just like constantly these stories that you're like, I just want to sit here and listen to you.
Talk for an hour. Well,
and he was the other thing, he would text me, he'd be like, I'm going to the record store, and I'm like, I want to spend a day going to record stores with you, so maybe stay tuned and we will make that happen. Record stores with Matt Pinfield.
And we will pull out all the records from all the Joey Song artists, and we'll tie it all together.
That's right.
Here's the thing about Matt that I so appreciate, out of the millions of things I appreciate, is it would be so easy to be in that music business like he is, and to have some sort of, I'm too cool for that, or I'm this for that, and we all suffer from it, right? We all suffer from it. Matt doesn't seem to suffer from it. He'll tell you why the Creed record is good, or Nickelback, right? All these bands, bands that we're supposed to dislike if we're super cool we are. Matt's enthusiasm is for everything. Yeah.
Everyone. Yeah. He's the great equalizer, and I absolutely love that he doesn't hate on anything. I mean, It's really like, I've said this to him when I met him. I said, I felt like you were the last sort of stop on that sort of energy, that wavelength of being excited and curious and loving. And then we went straight into reality TV, where there were judges and like confessional cams and producers creating villains. And, it just felt like, oh man, there is something really lovely to be around him and remember that. And, and Brian's very much the same way, and he's definitely, I mean, we just went and saw a movie together, and he wanted to rag on it. And I was like, I'm not going to, judge other people's art. And he's like, come on, and then we kind of got a little bit of a,
yeah.
But, it's like, it kind of like does, you can get into that cycle of like,
you can.
Being so critical. And I do think that a lot of people are like that, and they don't go out and do anything. And so, I feel like it's really important to be like making, creating, so that you feel all the time like it's hard. It's hard to create. And I'm going to be nice to creators, because it's a really brave thing to put yourself out there. And I feel like Matt just inherently gets that and respects that. And I'd actually love to know what he hates. I would actually love to ask Matt Pinfield, what do you really hate?
Yeah.
That's another podcast. What does Matt hate?
Well, he doesn't like toe fungus, and he's not a big fan of spicy food. Right? That would be about the only things I could think of. That
people talking on cell phones in public. Yeah.
Yep. He'd be like, but they're connecting with people. It's important that they're talking. And he'd find a reason to like all of that stuff.
Totally. He'd have a spin on it for sure.
So now I'm going to put you on, we did not plan this. I'm going to put you on the spot. Now,
Okay.
you've been to one Joey song, and you've got your creative
Yeah.
hat on. I guess I realize you can't see me because we're
Mhm.
having technical difficulties, but I'm making like a tinfoil
I
hat
know.
sign with my head.
I'm
Um,
visualizing you. Yes.
yes, yeah, I'm sorry about that. What what would you like to do next year when
Mm,
I corral you and bring you from sunny, warm Los Angeles to freezing cold
yeah.
Madison? Now that you've seen the
Yeah.
chaos, what's an angle
Totally.
you would think about doing?
I think that, like, you have this fun thing where it's like girls against guys. It's always
Oh,
really
yeah.
fun. And I was like, somehow I missed the like when the women were rehearsing. I was like, why wasn't I in that room? Like, I really
Yeah.
felt like left out. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, I really want to do
Yeah.
more like behind the scenes stuff of
Yep.
the sort of what goes into like them sort of birthing this concert
Yep.
because like I can't believe how quickly, and then this is a testament to Butch and all the musicians that you find that can just so quickly
Yeah.
come. I mean, also, I've known Brian for like 27 years or something, and I did not know what a quick read he is. Like, he was
Oh,
like on stage for hours, just like
I
playing every song. And,
I was gonna tell
so
that
that
story.
really
Yep.
fascinates me, right? I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
know that. And
Oh, yeah.
and so I did also, I haven't edited it yet, but I did a little thing on all the amazing drummers that you had this year
Oh,
because
yeah.
it was really like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
insane. So I did little interviews and like, so I have to edit that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really loving how Kurt brought his daughter
Oh,
and you had your son there, and
yeah.
and obviously wanting to know more about Joey too. Like, you told
Yep.
me this wonderful thing about how he was nonverbal, but he really responded to music.
Yep.
And that was just
Yep.
like really moving to me because you've sort of, you've dedicated so much of your life to keeping Joey alive. And I just think it's
Yep.
really so
Oh, it's very, very kind
profound.
of you.
And it's, and I just, I have a son, and I feel like so much of what I do now is inspired by him. He's really my muse,
Oh, yeah?
he's really
Oh,
he's making me a better creator. And you think like, remember the Breeders lyric, saw it on the wall, motherhood means mental freeze. I thought, when I have a kid and all my
yeah.
creativity is going to go away, or like there's just
Yeah. Yeah.
something about people kind of scare you about that. And I feel kind of
Yep.
the opposite. I feel very inspired by being a mom. And so, obviously
Same.
with Joey, Joey's story, and, you have two other kids, like, you really get it. And I really appreciate that. And I really
Uh,
connect with people who take it
yeah.
that seriously.
Yeah.
And,
Well, thank
you
you.
put so much
Thank
of
you.
your
Thank you. That
life into making other people, you don't want this to happen to other people. And,
right.
you're
That's it.
doing a lot to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I really just
Well, and
think
it's
it's amazing
and
what you're doing.
I would be lying if I didn't say it's super fun to do too. So,
Of course. Well,
there's
and I think
nothing.
Joey probably would want you to be having fun.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
that's
oh
another
man,
part
I
of it,
could.
right?
Yeah, we could do. Oh man, you're putting me on the therapy couch here.
Oh, sorry,
I
sorry, sorry.
remember. No, no,
I
no.
do that sometimes.
I struggled with that. I'll tell a quick side story because what the heck. One of the first people that were in kind of my Mount Rushmore of artists that I connected with was Mike Mills from REM. Huge REM guy. I mean,
Yeah,
they are. You can see
awesome.
behind. Well, you can't see behind me. I've got little
I
REM
can't
figures
see
from
you,
The
but I know,
Simpsons.
yeah.
Yeah, behind me.
Oh, yeah, I've
Um,
seen those, yeah.
and I struggled after I got to. He and I went
Mm.
to a Brewers game together, and I gave.
Oh,
It's a long story why we spent an afternoon together. And I really struggled after it because it's like, and that was part of recruiting for Joey Song, and it had a whole lineage to it. And it's kind of like, man, I wouldn't be hanging out with one of my idols if it wasn't for this terrible thing
mm,
that happened to my son. But then
sure. Yeah.
so it's a process, and there's no manual for grieving, and there's no manual for recovery, and there's no manual for any of that stuff.
Yeah,
But yes,
for sure.
it certainly has been fun and great. And once I learned that it was okay for me to say, "Oh yeah, I was talking to
To
Vicky
have fun.
Peterson the other
Yeah,
day, and and
I know.
people are coming to me for contact information for these people, which I guard with my life." So yes,
Yeah,
it's super satisfying, but it's great that it can be for a good reason and for a good cause and for all
yeah.
that stuff as well. So it's great. One last thing, Susie, I wanted to share because I know this has turned into the Brian and Matt show, but you are 100% right about Brian. I had not known him well. I had met him at Butch's house before he ever played a Joey song. And that first year he came, once he hit the stage, he didn't leave. Even if he was just playing fourth guitar chords and loving it. I mean, you could just see he's loving it. He is so into it.
I'd never seen that side of him. I had no idea. And it's funny because my friend Ariana from Early Mart, who I was telling you is how I kind of know them, you know, they dated when they were young children. And she used to be like, you know, I taught him guitar. And I mean, you know, I'm sure they have different versions of the story as, you know, that goes. And she's an amazing musician as well. And so it's kind of funny because, you know, I watched Silversun play in their living room when they had a different drummer and a different guitar player. And, you know, they weren't so great in the beginning. And everyone was like, oh, that's cute. And then they started getting better and better and better, you know, and it's like, holy shit, you know, and, you know, not to say that I didn't realize then because, you know, the first video I ever did for them, Kissing Families, like it was a great song. You know, like way back then, they've always been amazing. And Brian has always been sort of a savant with music. Like, I think you used that word, right? Am I allowed to?
Yeah.
I mean,
used it correctly.
He really, truly blew my mind in Wisconsin. And, and he doesn't, you know.
He's that way every year. He is that way every year.
So cool.
Miraculous.
And he's really a leader too, you know, like it feels like everyone really responds well to it. If there's no ego, I don't feel any kind of ego with any of those people.
None of them. There's not one of them.
It really just, it just brings everybody, you know, and of course now I'm just like fantasizing about bringing my family and like my husband's a musician and my kid's a musician. I'm like, we all want to be a part, you know, I'm just like, I just, it's like I said, I'm totally indoctrinated. So, you know, and like you said, there's really no way of knowing until you're there. Cause you were like, just come and see what it's like. You know, and Annika and I were like, if we come, we are doing something, you know? So it was just like, we really wanted to like, give you something to use to keep this, you know, going.
Well, it is, that is one of the challenges. Well, thank you. That one of the challenges is how do you, and you can't, and that's why we've just described to people what it is because, and again, it's not like this was some master plan drafted 15 years ago. It's been very organic, but you can't explain. Because, you know, people go, oh, so you have all these bands. Well, no, we really don't have all the bands because they're really not playing their songs, but, you know, blah, 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 you know, kind of all together.
So
it's just, it's really glorious. All right, Susie, it's been great talking to you. Again, you're very fortunate that your camera was not working, so you didn't have to see this. But we will have you back. I try to have everybody on at least twice a year. As we get closer, I'll have you back on and we'll talk a little bit about what you're planning to do because I know
what we've got planned.
Yeah, and I know people do enjoy hearing what goes on behind this and the work that goes in and all the effort that folks like you put in it. So we will do that.
We'll be cooking up great stuff for next year. And I look forward to it. Like I said, I want to bring my whole family.
Yep. Yeah. There's, as you can see, there's plenty of room and there's always plenty of food in the green room. So we can always make that work. So Susie Vilcek, thank you so much for being with us today. Everybody, this is the Joey Song Podcast. As always, if you have some time, please like and subscribe. I know you hear this on all the pods, but it really makes a difference. Like and subscribe and follow us on all the socials at Joey Song. It helps other people find us. Don't bother learning about the algorithms. Just do it. It's important and it really helps us grow what we're doing. So again, Susie, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And we're clear. Ah! Hey, thanks for sticking around all the way to the end of the podcast. A quick reminder, if you can give us a follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast provider and write a short review, it will really help us out. If you can head over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel over there, that's another big help. These simple acts make it easier for others to find us. And of course, head over to joeysong.org to join our community and stay up to date on all the news. Thanks, and we'll talk again real soon.
Learn more about Joey Song by visiting joeysong.org. The theme music was composed by Sam Gomoll, and Joey Song is a federally registered 501c3 charity. Thanks for listening.